The Vatican, the residence of the head of the Catholic world. In February 1929, it was essentially created by Benito Mussolini. Today, the Swiss Guards are the backbone of the Vatican's armed forces. But what if they are simply holding the Pope hostage? On February 11, 1929, Cardinal Pietro Gasparri and Italian Prime Minister Benito Mussolini signed the Lateran Treaty. As a result, the sovereign territory of Vatican City appeared on the world map. Italy paid the newly formed state reparations of $90 million. In return, Mussolini and Hitler received the unconditional support of the Holy See. The Pope became a symbol of the Christian world. Therefore, everything the Vatican did during World War II, the fact that it not only collaborated with Nazi Germany, but actually sanctified and blessed all their actions, is significant. The Swiss Guard is the protector of the Holy See. It is not easy to join their ranks. As it was 500 years ago, soldiers are recruited only from native Swiss citizens who have undergone military training. One must have impeccable health and a secondary specialized education. Strangely enough, one of the requirements is that they must be single, meaning they should not have any thoughts about having a family. They are ready to sacrifice their lives to fulfill any combat mission or service duty assigned by any Vatican official. This is also an element of guaranteed Vatican security. But why were the Swiss, and not the Italians or Germans, chosen to guard the Pope? Undoubtedly, one characteristic feature of this choice is the Celtic history of this people. The Celts, as we know from history, are good warriors, disciplined warriors, resilient warriors, and well prepared for survival. The only battle the Swiss Guards fought was in May 1527, when Rome was sacked by the army of the Holy Roman Emperor Charles V. Most of the Guard perished, but Pope Clement VII was saved. It turns out that these people are soldiers on a genetic level. They fought 500 years ago, and yet they are still feared and respected. They look amusing in their bright striped parade uniforms and with halberds in their hands. However, when accompanying the Pope, the Guards secretly carry modern pistols and submachine guns. Is there some kind of hidden intention here? Maybe the Pope is being held hostage. Maybe his will is dictated from Switzerland. Perhaps there is some kind of control center in Switzerland that influences the minds of many people. Indeed, the Pope is the head of the Catholics, and Catholicism is professed by 1.5 billion people in North and South America, Europe, New Zealand, and Australia, partially in Africa, and even in the Middle East. That is a significant number of people worldwide. Therefore, these questions further suggest that there is a certain Vienna in Switzerland, a small country in the heart of Europe. Hundreds of its guards hold the Pope hostage. Its currency is the most stable in the world. It is home to the most reliable banks and headquarters of major international organizations. It is an agent of influence in the cradle of world revolutions. But how does it manage to stay out of the main military conflicts? What if it secretly ignites them? In 1940, the Nazis developed Operation Fur, a plan to seize Switzerland. In just 2 days, they intended to capture railway and transport hubs, as well as numerous mountain bridges and tunnels. But Hitler never dared to attack Switzerland. Can you guess why? Operation Tannenbaum or Fur was developed on Hitler's personal orders. The plan was to disperse the Swiss troops and prevent a prolonged mountain war, and then take Bern and Zurich. The plan was approved. The divisions that were to invade the country were determined. The operation was scheduled to begin immediately after the capture of France, but it was unexpectedly postponed indefinitely. Few know that there were direct military clashes between Hitler's Germany and Switzerland, only in the air, because German planes violated Swiss airspace. Switzerland's air fleet consisted of about 100 planes, not many, but still not zero, and they shot down several dozen German planes in their airspace. Hitler was openly annoyed by this small country with its toy-like armed forces, which stopped any, even accidental, violations of its border and shot down Luftwaffe aces. Germany sent several notes of protest to Switzerland containing a direct threat. They were caught between a rock and a hard place. On the one hand, they were squeezed by Italy, on the other by Germany, and then, when France was captured, the Germans also surrounded them, but they maintained their calm and composure. The 1.5-month confrontation cost the Germans 11 planes. The Swiss lost only 2. Everyone understood how important it was for Hitler to capture this mountain country. Switzerland was the direct route from Germany to Italy or from Austria to France. In this sense, the Swiss defended their border against seemingly powerful aggressive powers that had already captured France, already controlled Italy, and controlled half of Europe. The Swiss kept them at bay, as it were. Therefore, their pacifism is very peculiar, the pacifism of people armed to the teeth and carefully prepared for war. They did not have much equipment, only about 20 tanks, etc. Realizing that they would be quickly defeated in a direct military confrontation on the plain, they adopted a plan for a smart war. Hitler's Germany had an overwhelming military superiority. But what if they forced this powerful army to fight in mountainous terrain with destroyed infrastructure? Their army, upon the attack of the fascists, was to disperse throughout the mountainous territory, blow up all communications, tunnels, bridges, etc. All this was mined. Sentries were on duty everywhere, and they were indeed prepared for this, and then wage a partisan war, paying no attention to any signals of capitulation. There was a direct military directive not to surrender under any circumstances. The most interesting thing is that this plan, called Swiss or National Redoubt, was developed in the late 19th century to repel possible attacks. A complex of defensive structures was built in the Alps along the east-west line: St. Moritz, St. Gotthard, and Sargans. Almost 75 years have passed since the end of World War II, and historians still argue about why Hitler never decided to attack Switzerland. There are several versions. The simplest and most logical one is that by 1940, Switzerland was already surrounded by countries controlled by Germany. Indeed, look at the map. Hitler probably did not consider Switzerland a serious opponent. At that time, he was busy with the battle for Britain, Operation Sea Lion. In these battles, the few mountain divisions also participated. It is good to be militarized, brave, and focused on victory, believing that no one will ever touch you and that you will always be neutral and no one will ever attack you. There were other reasons for Hitler's refusal to occupy Switzerland. Supplies of the main fuel of that time, coal, from Germany to Italy, were impossible without the smooth operation of the Swiss railway network. Moreover, the Führer understood that the ethnic majority of the country was German, and he had no plans to fight against his own people. Eventually, negotiations could be held on the peaceful entry of Switzerland into the Third Reich, and the issue would be resolved. And now, breaking relations to capture a small territory of a state did not seem like a big problem. It was better to preserve the sovereignty of this state and maintain a dialogical regime with it. This was simpler, more beneficial, and of higher quality. The most fantastic version is that neutral Switzerland could hide the party's gold and prepare a refuge in case of defeat. After all, neutral Switzerland did not hand anyone over. Another possible version is that the shirts created by the German Reich did not whisper to Hitler, or told him, or warned him that he should never attack Switzerland under any circumstances. One way or another, Switzerland remained neutral. However, this neutrality was quite conditional. They imposed certain economic relations on Switzerland, and Switzerland was forced to pay a kind of contribution, providing financial assistance to Germany. In particular, it was a center for the exchange of Reichsmarks for gold. In addition, until 1944, Switzerland allowed the unrestricted passage of military cargo. Nevertheless, the country was not occupied. In August 1940, an agreement was signed between Germany and Switzerland. From now on, cargo, including military cargo, was in transit through Switzerland. In addition, some Swiss entrepreneurs supplied Germany with ball bearings, bomb sights, and torpedo guidance system parts. You have to agree, it is convenient when factories producing military equipment are far from the war and daily bombings. It was a sovereign, neutral country, and it held the money of the main participants in this war, both the English and the Third Reich. That is, the money of the oligarchs who worked for Hitler and the Third Reich was also there, in Switzerland. No one was interested in destroying the European banking system, even considering that the main players were participating in this war. A well-known Swiss transnational corporation that produces food products secretly sponsored the Nazi cause on the eve of the war. The fascists rewarded their benefactors by allowing them to win a profitable contract to supply chocolate to the German army. The most interesting thing is that, during the war, products for the allies of the anti-Hitler coalition and for the German army were produced at the same enterprises, only the labels were in different languages. There was even a joke about this policy of double standards. 6 days a week, the Swiss worked for the Nazis, and on Sundays, they prayed for the victory of the Allies. In general, as they say, it's just business, nothing personal. The Swiss, during the First and Second World Wars, of course, gained a lot from their neutral status because, in general, their neutrality was beneficial to everyone. Of course, they continued to work with Germany, continued to work with German industry, and continued to interact with German diplomacy because, of course, this was the place where representatives of Hitler's Germany and the Western Allies could simultaneously be present. You have to agree, there is no hint of neutrality here.